Hey folks, today I want to talk about names. I've been asked a few times by people how I chose my name, and I've also had a few questions recently about kind of tips on choosing a name, etc. So I thought I'd talk about that. Well, my name is Finley J Games, that's my full name. I didn't change my surname, I just changed my first name and my middle name. The process I went through was, I'm with a long-term partner, and in coming out I kind of thought it'd be quite nice if we chose the name together to kind of give my partner more of a kind of feel that he was a part of my transition. So we kind of just sat down and kind of thought of a few different names, and we're just kind of trying them out and kind of saying veto when we didn't like them, what have you. Funny enough, Andrew wanted me to be called Joshua, which just didn't feel right to me at all. I did not feel like a Joshua. So yeah, we were kind of wandering around for about 2 weeks, I think, just kind of going this name, that name, and just kind of trying them all out. And we were both in a gay bar one night, and we were doing like a pop quiz thing, and one of the questions was about Huckleberry Finn, and when we heard the word Finn, we were like, oh yeah, that rings, that, you know, that feels right, because my partner spent a lot of his life in Scotland, and I've got a really strong connection to Scotland. I worked in Scotland for a while, so the idea of a Scottish name was a really kind of nice idea, and I loved the name Finn and immediately kind of like connected with it. Finley to me kind of conjures up pictures of like strapping men in kilts wandering up a mountain, and that's kind of how I saw myself. So that was it really. Finn fitted, and it seemed to work. And then it was choosing the spelling of the name, because you can spell it F-I-N-L-E-Y or F-I-N-L-A-Y, and there's also some much more complicated terms of spelling it that I can't remember how to do right now. But it's generally that with an E it's in Ireland, and with an A it's Scottish. So I went with the Scottish spelling. Now I looked up the meaning of it as well, because that was quite important to me, and it means fair warrior, which I thought was quite cool. So that was fair enough. Fair warrior, fair enough. So that was the reason I chose Finley and the spelling of it. I do go mainly by the name Finn. I do prefer the name Finn out of the two names, but I always saw Finn as a shortened name. It can be a standalone name, but I always saw it as shortened, so I chose to use the deed poll to change my name to the full Finley, but then have people call me Finn, although in the beginning I was kind of introducing myself as Finley, because I found that a lot of people were thinking that Finn was a gender neutral name anyway, or they were calling me something else like Min or something like that, because they just couldn't work out that I was male. So in the beginning I very much kind of used Finley, but now that I'm read correctly I use Finn, and I do prefer Finn, but I didn't want to just have the short name, I wanted the full name on my deed poll. And then with my middle name I wanted to keep something that was similar to my middle name that my parents had given to me, and kind of like an honour to them sort of thing. So I chose J, which is spelled J-A-I. Now you should, there's no shoulds in this world, but there you go, you should say it Jai, but I don't like it said Jai. I like it said J, because I didn't think Finley Jai sounded quite good together. Finley Jai Games doesn't work, Finley J Games does. But I didn't like the spelling J-A-Y as in J, because it looked strange next to an A-Y of Finley. It just looked weird to me to see Finlay J Games like that. So I liked the spelling J-A-I, but I choose to say it J. Now the meaning of the word J means victor or champion, and that was really special to me, because my dad's name, my dad died when I was 13, my dad's name is Victor. And I didn't want to choose his name. I did think about it for a while, having his name as my middle name, but I didn't know if it would be difficult for my family to get used to that as well as me transitioning, so I didn't want to use his name. So knowing that J means Victor, the two names went together really well in terms of their meanings. So that's it, that's why I'm called Finley J. In terms of tips for choosing your name, I think it's a really good idea, somebody said this to me and I completely ignored it, is to choose something age appropriate. A lot of people choose quite outlandish names, and that's absolutely, you know, everyone's prerogative to do so. But I think when you choose a name, you have to think about message you're sending to people, and also about how you're going to be questioned. Because if you call yourself something rather unusual, a lot of people are going to be questioning you. How come you called that, you know, and they're going to be paying more attention to you. So that's something to bear in mind if you don't want to kind of be outing yourself. I mean, when you're fully transitioned and you're kind of being read consistently, it won't be too much of a difficulty. But if you're already feeling awkward about your presentation and you don't like people to kind of look at you and try and double guess who you are, then if you've got a difficult name, that could then be making the situation more difficult for you. So what a lot of people suggested to me was to choose a name. You can go on the internet and actually look up the names that were popular at the time you were born and then choose one from there. I didn't do that, but it does make sense to do so. I mean, my name for my age is a bit unusual, and so a few times people have asked me about it, but not too often. But I mean, I think with me, I've got so many friends in AA, for example. I've known so many people that choosing a name that somebody else had just felt a bit weird. I didn't want it to feel weird to someone, so it was also quite important to me to choose a name nobody else had in that circle. You know, I just felt that way. But yeah, choosing a year appropriate name for when you're born, especially for us older guys, I think is a really good idea, because as wonderful as like Xander is or something, if you're kind of 50, it might not be so common that somebody gets called Xander. Do you see what I'm saying? So, not anything to stop anybody from choosing any name they want, but it's something to bear in mind. So yeah, that would be my tip really. Just kind of try things out. If you've got a good friend, partner, loved one, what have you, try out different names of them, see what fits, see what feels right. Have a look up of the meaning of names, because that's can be a really nice thing to do as well. Check for the year you were born and see what names are popular at the time. And if you are close to your parents and they're happy with your coming out process and you can talk about all of this, it might be quite a nice idea to ask them what you would have been called should you have been born male. So, you know, that's something to consider. I didn't ask that for fear that it would be something awful and then I feel obligated to say, oh yes, that's lovely. So yeah, that is very short waffle on how I chose my name and some tips that you might find useful to choosing your name. But have fun. This is your new identity for the rest of your life, and it's your turn now to kind of be who you want to be and express that through your name and own it. It's just lovely when you kind of get that deed poll and your new name's there, you know, it's just like, yeah. Well, I hope that's helpful. As I say, do have fun choosing your name and get some help doing so. And do share with me your reasons for choosing your name and how you went about it, because I just think it's really interesting as well. It's really lovely to hear everyone's stories about how names were kind of found and what they mean to you. So yeah, do share that with me. It'd be lovely to hear from you. Hope that helped, and take care everybody. Speak soon.